I don't know where people get this idea that creative people just waltz around their day until suddenly some extreme explosion happens in their brains and rainbows shoot out of their eyes and they sprint home and then they start writing all over the walls and then within a few hours the entirety of a movie script or a book or a piece of art is painted. Everything is just done. That is complete bogus. Everybody who comes up with ideas and everybody who's a creative, master of the past says that all ideas have to be sort of ironed out. They have to be mined. They don't just come. Tchaikovsky, who's one of the greatest composers of all time, said that inspiration is a guest that does not willingly visit the lazy. If you're the type of person where ideas don't naturally come to you, don't worry, because in this video, we're going to be talking about ways to create ideas, specifically how I do it in the context of making video games. The very first thing you have to realize is that everything is a combination of things that came before it. Nothing is truly new. Except for the Big Bang, nothing ever was created without being derived from a previous thing. So for example, right, for games, Stardew Valley is a combination of a farming simulator and a dating simulator. Undertale is a combination of a JRPG and a bullet hell. And Pokemon is a combination of collecting things and combat. What you could do, and sometimes what I do, is I will come up with a T-chart. I'll come up with a row of things across the top and a row of things across the bottom. So maybe you could write genres on the top, or you can write themes on the next side, or you can even put game and game. Like what would happen if I combined Tetris with a combat game, or if I combined this and this. The experience I described in the beginning actually does happen. So there are moments sometimes where, like, my brain I'll see something and I'll just think, holy moly, this is really, and everything will spark at once. But that's because the process I just described has happened by accident. Once you do this process and you find something that really jumps out at you, the next step is the refinement of the idea. Do you understand the idea? Do you get it? What I mean by this is, let's do a specific example. Do you know why Mario Kart has items? In a racing game, or in any race at all, the fastest person ends up far ahead and the slowest person ends up behind, and everyone else just kind of fans out the space in between. So what happens is that over time, people just get farther and farther apart and interactions become fewer and less often. And so the developers of the game realized, well, wait a minute, if we can figure out a way to act at a distance and bring people closer together, we can sort of make the race a lot more interesting. And so that's what led to red shells, where you can attack people ahead of you, blue shells, attack people ahead of you, lightning bolts, get everybody ahead of you, bullet bills, skip ahead of everybody, and it keeps the race in this constant state where everyone's passing, because that's the best part. The most exciting part of the race is when everyone is together, not when they're spread out, and that's exactly what items do. So if you understand the game or the art or the music, or if you anything down to this sort of truly fundamental level, now you're starting to work with fire here. Now you understand, okay, now not just do I have a method of creating ideas, I have a way to figure out what is, if it's good or not. The next step to this, though, is, an idea is worth nothing if it's just spoken. You have to actually turn it into something, and there's a huge amount of craftsmanship that goes into that. If you have a good idea and you suppose it's for music and you go to play it on the guitar or whatever, but you don't have the proper training, it's going to sound terrible. So there's this period of time where if you're just starting out as a creative person, where your ideas are way up here and your skill level is way down here, and so your skill level eventually has to catch up, which may take years. And don't beat yourself up if everything you make is crap. It may not be your brain that's the problem. It may be your hands. Interestingly, your ideas actually get better as well. So I keep all my ideas right here in this stack of Post-it notes on my desk. As you can see, there's quite a lot of them. Sometimes I go through it and I look at some of the old ones. I'm like, that's a terrible idea. But at the time, I thought it was good enough that I had to write it down so I wouldn't forget. So, as you gain skill, not only does your skill go up, your idea quality also goes up, and you'll find yourself thinking about things you would have never thought about before. To make this actionable, if you want to get better at making ideas, just keep making stuff. The ideation sort of happens as an accident. If, for instance, you're a potter and you make pots, as you make these pots, don't you think eventually you'll make an accident and, maybe this part will blow out a certain way? You're like, whoa, that's kind of cool. That could be like this. And then maybe now you're putting the handle on and you accidentally put the handle on the wrong side and they come together. And then you end up making interlinked something. It can all All of these things expand your awareness in addition to just the process of learning the craft. All of these things add to your subconscious and make the ideation process more and more refined over time. When you're actually implementing your idea, you'll find that it's very easy to kill an idea early on and say, this is garbage. As a matter of fact, Johnny Ive, who was the lead designer at Apple for pretty much the entirety of the 90s and early 2000s and even part of the 2010s, very close with Steve Jobs, said that ideas are fragile, barely formed thoughts that are easily squashed. So when you're first starting out, you may look at an idea and think, this is good. You reach your first problem and you say, forget it, and it's done. Just like a sapling, and it's very hard to chop down a fully grown tree, but a sapling on the ground can be pulled out with your bare hands. An idea needs a lot of nourishment for it to become a fully fledged idea. So don't fret if you're struggling a little bit early on. Of course, there are times when you have to kill things, and it's a sad reality. But unlike working at a job where the more tasks you do, you get closer and closer to a goal. Creativity, sometimes you work in the opposite direction, and you have to kill things, and this ends up not working, and you end up having to waste quite a lot. And it's a shame, but there's not really much you can do. Creativity is, by nature, you can't know ahead what you're going to do or if it's going to be good, or else you wouldn't be creating anything. You would be following the rules. That's an Albert Einstein quote. I know we're quoting everybody today. Albert Einstein said, "A person who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new." It's a really positive message, and I think this is where I'll leave you. There's no real way to create ideas. Everything is ultimately up to you, and you have to be the decider. Do I believe in my own instincts? Can I trust the process? Can I fight through all the failures? Can I mess up 100 times? And if you can, that's how you come up with ideas. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.